Okay, thank you so much. Merci à tous. Wow, it's like a homecoming. Thank you for welcoming me. It's wonderful to be, first of all, back home in Vancouver. I've spent most of the last 9 months in Ottawa. The last 3 were at -20, so it's good to be home. And thank you to Bridget for your leadership and the whole Board of Trade team pulling us all together again. Really appreciate your leadership and steerage on this. Happy Year of the Horse to everyone celebrating. This year is, the horse brings energy, strength, and determination. I think that's what we're going to need going into this year ahead of us. First and foremost, a big thank you and acknowledgement to Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations on whose unceded homelands. We are so lucky to live, work, and play. And to the leadership, past, present, and future, from the 3 local host First Nations. Thank you for steering us through these times as well. I want to acknowledge a couple of my colleagues. You mentioned Bridget Parm-Baines and Wade Chung are here, our members of Parliament here from Richmond and Burnaby, and also former Mayor Larry Campbell, former fellow Mayor Larry Campbell. Thanks for being back in the public service as well. A number of Raymond Louis, a number of Heather. We got all sorts of councillors we served together over the years. So it's a little overwhelming to see you all after being with 342 other folks in the House of Commons. Maybe not quite as friendly as this crowd. Before I dive in, I want to recognize and acknowledge the devastating tragedy last week in Tumbler Ridge. And I know all of us have been thinking about the families, the loved ones of the victims, all who were affected by that. I was in the community last week, just before the Prime Minister and his visit, seeing how Canadians support each other in the face of that tragedy is so moving. It's a very, very difficult time to have this happen in our school here in BC. And I know all of us here in Vancouver and right across Canada stand with the people of Tumbler Ridge. So, shifting gears, because we've got a lot to do. We've got a lot to look forward to. We've got to pull up our socks as the Canadian men did this morning in trouncing Finland. Maybe not quite a trouncing, but we'll take it. But I want to recognize the Canadian women for their hard-fought silver medal, a fantastic game that they played and tournament that they played as well. And I'll talk more about the Olympics. I can't help but talk about the Olympics some more, given the occasion here. But it's wonderful to be here. I've worn a lot of hats over the years, both public and private sector hats. Today, I'm with you basically for the 2 that keep me on my toes right now. First, as your Minister of Housing and Infrastructure for Canada, but perhaps more closer to home as a strong voice for BC in Ottawa. That is my key role, representing our city here in Ottawa. En tant que chef d'entreprise et d'innovateur, vous êtes des experts. Vous savez l'importance d'une économie résiliente. Nous allons bâtir cette économie forte ensemble. I'm not going to speak a lot of French today, but I'm adding some in there to recognize your leadership as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, keeping Canada strong right now. And this is a time when we need that the most. If you'll allow me, as your former mayor, taking a moment to talk about what we went through 16 years ago, hosting the Olympics here, in a similar challenging time, as the best in the world compete on the world stage in Milan, as they did here in Vancouver 16 years ago. We had a very, very powerful experience as a city and a country that I think is worth bringing forward in these times. Putting those games on was not easy for us. There are some great facts and figures. We could talk about the 50,000 jobs that were created, the environmental sustainability standard that we set for the world since that time. Major opportunities for BC businesses and growth, economic growth that created for Vancouver, for BC, for Canada. But it was very difficult at the time. We were coming barely out of the 2008 recession when the Olympics were brewing, and that meant there was a ton of risk. There was a lot of risk to put the games together. We had a lot of tough decisions to make. We had to address major concerns with cost, with readiness, with infrastructure, public safety, community impact, all of that in real time. And the success of those games rested on our ability to deliver, and we did. Beyond the economics, the record-breaking medal counts, the facts and the figures, the real success of the 2010 Games was how it brought Canadians together. The 2010 Games remain across generations now a moment of remarkable national unity. We brought the world to Canada. The 4 host nations hosted, and Indigenous people were so core to those opening ceremonies and hosting the world. We brought the world to Canada, and we brought Canada to the world. 16 years later now, we face equally or greater daunting challenges. Our economy is under attack. Our sovereignty is being threatened. And once again, Canadians are stepping up and rallying together at a time that our country needs us the most. The Prime Minister said it best, as usual, in Davos. Canada can give itself more than anyone can take away. And today, I want to talk about the role of BC, of Vancouver and BC in this shifting global landscape, and how we can continue to power not only our region, but Canada's future. BC is essential to building a stronger and more unified Canadian economy. Our leadership in trade, clean energy, critical minerals, creative industries, life sciences, clean tech, quantum, and AI is a long list where we have globally significant leadership. And that's coupled with our deep connections to the Indo-Pacific across that position us very well for the future. And strong countries invest in themselves, in the leading industries, in the housing and infrastructure that we need to thrive, and in major nation-building projects. These investments really build on our strength, and those are what build a strong economy. Prime Minister Carney has set very ambitious goals for Canada. Double Canada's non-US exports in the next decade, build the strongest economy in the G7. BC will be absolutely key to meeting those goals because BC has always punched above its weight. BC is Canada's gateway to the Indo-Pacific. Our province is Canada's top exporter to Asian markets. The Port of Vancouver moves as much cargo as the next 5 Canadian ports combined and sustains more than 50,000, Peter, it's probably more than that now, 50,000 direct jobs across Canada. We host almost a quarter of Canada's clean tech companies, and BC firms regularly appear on the global clean tech rankings. We remain the #1 global city for animation and digital effects. I think we're #2 in the world on VR and AR as a hub. BC is a leading producer globally, 19 out of the 34 critical minerals and metals that are essential for the global transition to a low-carbon future. So we have so much going for us, so much strength. That is going to be complemented now by unprecedented investments that your federal government is making in ports, transportation networks, electrification, and digital corridors so that businesses, like many of yours, can seize these global opportunities. It's not just the national scale that we're investing in, though. In BC, key elements of this economic development are led by PacifiCan. Nana's here from PacifiCan and the team. And PacifiCan is helping BC businesses scale up, helping the Board of Trade to support your members in growing your businesses. PacifiCan boosts our exports by helping BC companies reach global markets, ever more important, and by connecting BC businesses to the diverse opportunities, investing in BC's strengths. And we're doing that alongside of industry leaders, First Nations partners, communities, to unlock the vast potential of our province and our entrepreneurs. Because when we invest in our entrepreneurs and our industries, we develop these new technologies, we expand our market access, and we create the great jobs we need across our country. That's what a sustainable economy is all about for these generations to come. A key element of that, underpinning all of that really, is housing and infrastructure. So I want to focus on that part of the solutions that benefit our generations to come. It's certainly how I approach my role as your Minister of Housing and Infrastructure. The infrastructures and investments that we made 16 plus years ago here in Vancouver for the Olympics were a great example of how we invest in infrastructure that benefits generations to come. We built the Canada Line as a great example of that. We just assume now, we take it for granted, but that was an Olympic-driven project, like many others, that will serve us for many generations here in Vancouver, an essential part of how we get around in our city. We built an iconic community in the Olympic Village. That one was not easy, but it's become home for thousands of city residents, and we built training venues for Olympic athletes that are now fantastic community recreation centers. So that's how you build with Canadians at the center and leverage these opportunities, these moments in time where we can double down on our infrastructure. By addressing these housing and infrastructure challenges right now, we will create enormous economic opportunities for our nation, as well as opportunities for Canadians in making our communities stronger. Build Canada Homes has been my main project coming out of the gate. We have a $13 billion mission-driven organization now that is focused on delivering non-market and affordable housing across Canada and modernizing Canada's home building sector. Build Canada Homes' mandate includes prioritizing Canadian-made materials and modern methods of construction to ensure that our home building sector is innovating and getting more productive. Just this week, was over in Victoria to sign an agreement with the province. Build Canada Homes will partner with BC in the first phase to deliver over 1,100 homes, and 700 of those are supportive and transitional housing for people who are at risk or homeless right now. Really essential investment that I'm thankful the BC government is basically setting the bar for the country right now on supportive housing and showing the other provinces how it's done, providing the health and wraparound services with that housing. So 1,100 homes are the first phase of our work with BC. We've got over 8,000 now coming with other provinces and territories and cities that we're signing agreements with and scaling up. So that's Build Canada Homes. First and foremost, we can talk more about that when we're sitting Bridget. Build Communities Strong Fund is our big new infrastructure fund. It's a $51 billion fund. Assuming we get this budget passed in the days ahead and we get the infrastructure funding moving, that will build the essential infrastructure that we need, A, to support building more housing, the water infrastructure, the public transit, community centers, healthcare facilities, education, campuses, culture and sports facilities. All of that is in the Build Communities Strong Fund purview. So these are massive generational investments that we're making available, and they are the first phase that we're putting in this budget this year, counting on support from our colleagues. If you know other members of Parliament whose votes are needed to make sure the budget comes through strongly, please encourage them to support our budget. And we will be rolling out those investments in these months ahead. Ces investissements générationnels dans les infrastructures et le logement vont stimuler notre économie. Ils vont stimuler la demande de matériaux canadiens et finalement, ils vont soutenir des milliards d'emplois et une économie croissante. Canada's economic future depends on our ability to work together across governments, across business and communities to build the homes, to strengthen the supply chains, and to unlock our global markets. I want to end by coming back to what I said from the start. I believe the success of BC will be key to supercharging the Canadian economy. Our province has everything that we need to win. We are a province of great innovators, and this is our moment to lead. So by investing in our people and our leadership, we will build Canada strong. Merci à tous. I look forward to your questions. Thank you.